Former HANOIROCKS bassist Sami Yaffa recalled the time he and his late bandmate and drummer Nicholas Razzle Dingley hung out with Motley Crue singer Vince Neil. He also mentioned how he acted when his bandmate died in a car crash caused by Vince Neil. Nicholas Razzle Dingley was the drummer of the rock band HANOIROCKS from 1982 until his untimely death in 1984. He died in a car crash caused by Vince Neil. In 1984, Vince Neil, Sami Yaffa, and the late musician Nicholas Razzle Dingley had hung out together, driving around Los Angeles in Neil's two-seater sports car. The HANOIROCKS members Yaffa and Razzle were the guests at Vince Neil's home. At the time, they were joined by the Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee and another HANOIROCKS member Andy McCoy, where they all partied together. Throughout the night, while Yaffa was sleeping, Neil and Razzle had gone out and were involved in a fatal car crash in Redondo Beach, where Razzle sadly died. In a new appearance on Waste Some Time with Jason Green, the 58-year-old bassist detailed the night Vince Neil and Razzle were involved in a fatal car crash. Sami explained.
Well, Vince came to pick up me and Razzle from, we stayed at the Franklin Suites in Franklin Plaza Suites or something like that in La Brea, Franklin. Yeah, up there on the top. And he was going to pick up, because Razzle and Vince were buddies, so he was going to pick up Razzle and then show him around, LA and all this stuff. And then Razzle said, like, Sami, come along, And he came with a tiny little sports car. It wasn't that car that ended up in an accident. It was another one, but two-seater, and there was no room. And Razzle was just like, oh, fuck it, mate, just hop on my fucking lap, So it was three of us just cruising around LA, and he showed us the Santa Monica's and Hollywood Boulevard, and we drove all around LA, and he was showing the places. There's the Troubadour, and there's the Rainbow, and there's the Roxy, and there's the Whiskey, and so we had a really nice afternoon with Vince, and then he said, like, let's just go back to my house, and my wife will cook some lunch or whatever and some dinner, and we hang out. And that's what we ended up doing. We ended up hanging out, having some beers and smoke a little spliff and have a good time and talk about things, and and then little by little it just turned into more of a party, but it wasn't really like a crazy party. It was just a bunch of people showed up. Andy and Tommy came there a little bit later, and some of their friends, and we've been kind of drinking beer all day, and I just said that I'm going to take a nap. They actually asked me to go with them to go and pick up some more beer, and I said I'm going to take a nap. And when I woke up, it was just Mick Mars was just kind of shaking me awake, and I wondered where everybody else was, and he said that there's been an accident, and we went to the hospital, and I found out that my bro was gone. It was very heavy.
Yeah, extremely heavy. And I know that you guys were really close. And so if for those who might not know, they ran out of alcohol. Vince and Razzle took the car to the liquor store, which was only 3 blocks away. We only wish they would have walked. And most likely Vince was showing off his car, the Pantera, on the way back. He crashed into another car, and tragically, 2 other people.
Yeah, Razzle was taking him off. You know what I mean? Razzle was a speed freak, man.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that happens, and it was an accident. There was some water, and where they were coming down the hill, and they just ended up in a slide, and he lost the control of the car. So
yeah, very heavy, and 2 other people were crippled. Had really very serious injuries as well. They survived, and obviously Vince survived, and this. The story at the time, and you can tell me if it's correct, is that you and Razzle were thinking about leaving Hanoi anyway. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, Hanoi was kind of like it was a little bit falling apart in a way. It wasn't in the best shape. I mean, we could have probably overcome all the drug problems and all this kind of stuff, but it wasn't really in a happy place at the time, and I was about to leave. I kind of had enough. I had a fucking heroin habit, and I barely saw Michael. He had turned into a hermit, and Andy had turned into an unbearable egomaniac asshole, and it was basically just me and Razzle and Nasty who were hanging out together, and I kind of told him before the tour that I had enough, and the Razzle came to my house, and he kind of talked me into it, like, come on, Yaffa, I've been thinking the same thing, and but let's just do this one tour and then see what happens, and
Yeah, and obviously we would never find out what would happen. I know that you guys go back home to Finland. You play 2 shows as memorial shows to Razzle, right?
Yeah. Our home was in London at the time. We'd been living in London since 1982, so we're back to UK and try to figure out what we're gonna do. And I told the guys that I'm out of here. And we had those two shows to do, which was for a TV program called Europe a Go-Go, which was a massive undertaking. It was like 30 million viewers and all this kind of stuff. And we already had been booked to do that. So we decided that we're going to do those 2 shows as a tribute to Razzle, and then that would be my last shows. And those guys would continue, but that didn't last too long. It was Razzle's death was the straw that broke the camel's back. The band was kind of fragile already, and when that happened, it just fell apart.
Thank you for tuning in, and please hit that like button, it's appreciated. Make sure that you subscribe for more rock-related content.